This is the Impunity Observer podcast. Fergus Hodgson, your host. I'm always pleased to be with you. These are a privilege. Thank you for tuning in. And we have a gentleman today all the way from Bolivia. It's wonderful. And then he also speaks great English, which is helpful for our international audience. Bolivia came to my attention recently because there's been a problem of forest fires in the precious jungle or native virgin forests of the region, which is a concern for many reasons. And it also points to a policy breakdown in that people are being moved to the area and rewarded. There are perverse incentives involved, but I'm not an expert on this. I just saw it making it into US media and thought there must be more to the story. So we're very fortunate to have Juan Pablo Chamon. He's the executive director of Liberal Bolivia or Libera Bolivia .org. And so I want to say, welcome, mate. It's a privilege to meet you. And please tell us, what was the backstory that led to this international story, right? Because, like I said, this was a blip on the radar. It really broke through when there's normally not a lot of coverage of Bolivia in the major news. But
Yeah,
Americans, foreigners, we do care about this precious or virgin natural resource.
yeah. Thank you very much for the opportunity of being here and also to have the chance to talk some stuff about Bolivia. I know that on the news on the last months we've been like globally because of not of the best reasons. At first, it was about a self coup that the president Arce made, and now with our Amazon under the fire, we were like we were on the world news.
Yeah.
Uh, what is happening in my country, in Bolivia, is that it's part of the crisis of the institutions. It has a deep crisis of legitimacy and also a huge political polarization. This has happened thanks to the new constitutions that the Evo Morales party, the Movimiento al Socialismo, the movement to the socialism, approved in 2009. They always say that this constitution aimed to reform the country with an inclusive and plurinational approach, but in practice, it has brought more problems than solutions.
Yeah, so just I understand. Great that you led with that because that was the key change that the new constitution, which is part of this Maria Rosa, the pink tide, this kind of socialist refoundation, as you describe it, it made Bolivia a plurinational or kind of like a multinational nation within a nation, which is very confusing and hard to enforce. So, but I assume it led to land reform, or what were the implications?
And that's a really good question. Right now in Bolivia, for example, the rule of law is virtually non-existent. The judiciary is co-opted by political interests, and it's used as a tool for example, for persecuting opponents. Property rights, which is a really important matter for our lands and for the Amazon, for example, has been or have been severely undermined. And for example, according to the Property Rights Index by the Property Rights Alliance, Bolivia ranks 117 out of 125. So it's one of the worst global scores in property rights protection. When you're talking about these fires in the Bolivian Amazon, we also have to talk about rule of law, property rights, and also the drug trafficking influence, which comes with for example, with the interests of Iran in some part of the drug business, and also China with the interest of working with mining on one side, and also trafficking animals, trafficking yeah, some of our exuberant and rare species of animals.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot there, but what just so we don't, because I want to talk about all these different trends, but just let's try to be focused in just for a couple of minutes on what exactly is this forest fire crisis? What is going on? Why are people burning down virgin Amazonian jungle? Because if you look at Bolivia on the map, I'm looking right now at the map on my wall, it really is in a wonderful position with, as you mentioned, tremendous natural resources. Why is this happening?
Thank you very much for this question because if you go and Google this issue right now on the media on the mainstream media, this is like the idea of the business people in my country trying to expand their businesses, which is not true. At some point, of course, that some of them they see the possibility and they do more stuff with our Amazon and everything. But in the central part, you have to see that if you need new roads, for example, for drug trafficking, but not also drug trafficking, you have a mining minerals trafficking of different stuff, and then you find these exuberant animals, and you have everything. The fastest way to build a road is burning the Amazon, for example.
Yeah, but why has this happened? Why has there been an uptick in recent times such that it has generated international attention?
Because since 2019, the quantity of millions of hectares that have been burned in the Bolivian Amazon have been like millions and millions. Only this year, we are talking about 4 million hectares that have been burned in the Bolivian Amazon.
Yeah, and I don't know if people realize how much that is because I grew up on a farm that was, I think it was around 2,000 hectares, and that was a lot of land. He's talking about millions of hectares. This is a tremendous amount of land to be lost, and you can't just revive that tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. This is a complicated ecosystem that has evolved over many, I don't know, centuries or thousands of years.
With that, it gets to a point that, for example, the fire goes to some cities, and people in the most important city of Bolivia, Santa Cruz, breathe this. They doesn't have like the quality of life that they should have. So it's a completely mess. The government doesn't have nor the institutions and also the resources to fight against this. And also on the other side, you have the cocaleros, the people who is working with the coca seeds, saying that they are not gonna stop burning because they have to eat. They have to keep working. And who's the leader of the cocaleros is Evo Morales. So when you see on the mainstream media that they are saying that this is the fault of the business people in my country, and also when you see the national media, you're gonna see that some of the people is saying that this is the fault of the laws, because it's true that some of the laws that we have in our country allows this situation. But in a country without rule of law, the law doesn't matter. So this is deeper than that.
Yeah, so you say that this has been happening for a while, but it just etched up a little bit, and that was what got attention. And people are assuming it's a quick story, but really it's been growing for a long time.
Yeah, and also because this is also happening in Brazil, right? So this helps to the Bolivians to show the problem that we have in the Amazon, because some part of the Amazon is in Bolivia, but most of the Amazon is in Brazil.
If there are not clearly defined property rights in this region, people will just go for a slash and burn, get what you can while you can approach. Just get in and get out because why invest for the future? Who knows whether it will belong to you or not? So, okay. Now, as you mentioned, in this part of the world, there is both heavy, let's say, drug trafficking and money laundering, and there are precious resources. Do you want to talk about how the onset of the post Evo Morales, or from the beginning of Evo Morales entering to power period, has ushered in a higher level of organized crime? Because was Bolivia always a haven for organized crime?
There is a difference before and after Evo Morales. Of course, that we always had this situation with drug trafficking
And production.
and production, of course. But we didn't produce as much as only the coca seed. That's what we used to produce in the past. But what is happening right now, and this is also important to understand, is that in Bolivia we have two places where the agriculture grows the coca seeds. The first one is in a region in La Paz called Los Yungas. We have some products. There is an industry within the country. But we also have the Chapare, El Chapare, which is the place where Evo Morales reigns. Yeah, on this specific place, for example, the European Union on the last report they mentioned that more than the 90% of the coca produced in the Chapare region, where Evo Morales is the president of
Is he a governor at this point? What's his official status?
No, he's like a union guy of the people who produces coca.
Okay, sure. A union executive. Fine. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, he's like the union president there. More than the 90% of the coca produced there, where Evo Morales is this executive, goes to the illegal market. So this is 1+1, but it doesn't end there. Then if we start to understand the business of the coca in the region, we're gonna get to understand, for example, how it goes to Venezuela, how it works supporting the what Hezbollah is doing in the region, how much of the money they win goes to the to this region in that it has a part of Brazil and Paraguay and Argentina, and it's like the most prominent part of the drug trafficking and money laundering on Latin America. So this is a more complex situation. And of course, if you have the roads to take the coca not only to Brazil, to Argentina, and all other Latin America, you also have those roads to bring the other stuff that we were mentioning before.
Did I hear you correctly that now there's actual, let's say, manufacturing, value adding activity going on? It's not simply agricultural production.
No, it's not simply agriculture production anymore. It changed since Evo Morales is in power.
How tightly, so you said Evo Morales is now some kind of union leader. He's not actually in the official presidency. How tightly are these narco-funded groups or narco-profiting from groups, you might say, with the current regime? Because I just feel like in a country like Bolivia, that kind of money would go a long way to influencing the political life.
When the American interests are not like watching what is happening on these issues in the region, and they are like trying to bring us a more inclusive agenda or stuff that doesn't have anything to do with what we need.
Sure, yeah.
Russia, China, and Iran, they have a plan about this. And as you were mentioning before, this also comes with in the sense with the not only the business, but they use the power. They say, for example, that the Bolivian government is the government of the social movements. One of those movements are these agriculture unions who work with coca. So it's 1+1, right? And we haven't been talking about we haven't been talking about much about this. And also, this is in some part something that we haven't been discussing correctly in the region. The stuff that does work, for example, for the not only the property rights, but also the environment. Because some part of the right or the opposition to these regimes have been saying that, okay, but the climate change doesn't exist, or this is not an important situation. And then we find this, you get to see the mainstream media, and we lost almost all the conversation, because when nobody talks about what is happening with drug trafficking and all the other issues, people is saying that this is fault of businesses, capitalism, and all the other stuff that doesn't have anything to do with this.
But what I mean though is that yes, I have no doubt the association or confederation of coca growers will have an impact on the politics. But is there any sense that organized crime is also bankrolling the current regime? What is the evidence that they are working together?
For example, three of the people in charge of the drug area in the Bolivian police during the Bolivian government have been caught by the DEA.
I shouldn't laugh about this, but it's like a telenovela. Yeah,
This is like a Narcos soap opera on Netflix.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So the three chiefs of drug enforcement in Bolivia, when you say they've been caught, have they actually been extradited? No, they're still free.
No, just one of them, and the United States is waiting to extradite one more in the next weeks. Hopefully, we don't know what is going to happen. We don't know what's the attitude that the Bolivian government is going to take, since there is a supposedly fight between Evo Morales, the former president, and Luis Arce, the current president. But this guy is from his party, so we don't know what is going to happen.
Okay, do you want to give us, I mean, your time is precious, and we're really fortunate to have Juan Pablo Chamon on. A quick, like very quick summary of what actually happened with the self coup or coup that we thought was happening, but then people just said, "Oh no, just theatrics." What was the story?
it 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 was a show. It was a bad TV show.
I don't get it. They're trying to also demonize the opposition with a phony coup. I don't get it.
My guess is that this was supposed to work for them in the sense of a new era of political persecution, in the sense that we just had an intent of coup, so we're gonna go against all the people who was behind this. But it was so obvious that it didn't work. Actually, nobody from the government, no one from the government is talking about this self coup anymore, because they know it doesn't work for them. I mean, I've been studying some polls in the past couple of weeks, and not even their people, the people who says that is gonna vote in the next year if we have elections for the movement to the socialism, for the Movimiento al Socialismo, the party of Evo Morales and Luis Arce. These people is saying that we don't believe what happened in that day.
It was an attempt to justify a crackdown, but it just backfired because it was so obviously a theatrical performance. Yeah. Okay. Now, do you want to? I know. Yeah. With Liberal Bolivia, you promote classical liberalism, and fundamentally that is property rights. Do you see these foreign actors, the Chinese, Russians, Iranians, undermining this? What exactly are they doing in the country? We hear these names, and it can sound like a bunch of boogeymen to Americans. But what on the ground are they doing? Are they engaged in loans? Are they having some kind of subsidized business ventures there? Are there cover businesses or front businesses going on? What has anything actually been documented in a concrete fashion?
Actually, they are everywhere. If you see the military, you're gonna see the presence of Iran. If you see this part of drug trafficking, that the money laundry goes to these irregular groups like Hezbollah and on all of these groups, you are also going to see Iran. If you see mining, gold mining and these weird minerals that we have in Bolivia, you're going to see Iran and China. And if you see how Bolivia is trying to work with a huge economic crisis that comes with socialism. I mean, these are not news. I mean, we all know that socialism doesn't work. It ends at some point like this, but we are depending on Putin's aid for the country. So they are everywhere in the sense that in next year 2025 we're gonna have our celebrations for our 200 independency
From Spain.
Yeah, from Spain, but we have never been more dependent of foreign countries like right now. We depend on Iran, we depend on China, we depend on Russia, and as I was mentioning before, the good guys on the world are looking somewhere else. And at this point, what we are trying to do is to work with the most prominent leaders, young leaders in our country, and show them that there is a world that works besides
Yeah.
socialism.
So you're saying that right now, let's as a broad sweep, Bolivia is depending on Russia for foreign aid, China for infrastructure, particularly mining, extraction, and military expertise from the Iranians.
It's really complicated, as you can see.
Yeah, so there's much more detail to that. Okay, now you mentioned this mixing of the Iranians and also terrorist groups, depending on how you define them. I mean, most Americans would say they're terrorist groups. So Iran's interest is basically in this money laundering and profiteering from the drug trade through Bolivia.
Yes, and also building drones with the Bolivian
They've got
military.
manufacturing plants there.
Manufacturing drones. This is something that they used to do with Venezuela, but knowing the situation in Venezuela, they had to find some other partner that works.
Because crime is just too high in Venezuela. It's just too unstable.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what is going to happen in Venezuela, in the sense that Venezuela is on the center of the news of the world.
So volatile. Yeah.
Bolivia is not. And with that, you also have to take you also have to see the position of Bolivia on the map. I think that this is really important. We are next to Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, Peru. So it's an important space talking about land in the region.
Yeah, and we've actually published a paper on the tri-border region in Paraguay where there are terrorist groups who are centered there. And as you say, it's almost convenient that Bolivia and Paraguay, they just don't make the news. They're just kind of quietly over there. So they're a little bit sheltered or in the shadows to some degree. Okay. You've been very generous with your time. How can people best follow you? I know you're on X or Twitter. Do you want to share your handle?
Yes, you can follow our work, especially on Instagram. It's our page is called Libera Bolivia. I'm also on X with my name, Chamon, with my last name, Chamon JP, Chamon JP, working for this battle of ideas, which is really important, not only for Bolivia, but for the region and the world. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And as I was saying at the beginning,
Yes.
it's always a good news for us to get the chance to talk about what is happening in Bolivia.
Yeah, well, just I mean, obviously, as you've explained, there's just so much going on there. And this a little bit about the forest fires, it's almost a distraction from the deeper problems. So we're going to look to do more investigative research. Go to impunityobserver.com for more information on this, and we'll have links to all his notes in the show notes where you can follow Libera Bolivia and Juan Pablo Chamon. So thanks again, and we'll be in touch, okay?
Thank you very much.